الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the side of ourself as ammara bisu'. It always and consistently and persistently commanding and demanding of evil doing, of wickedness. And this is just, subhanAllah, it goes along with the reality about how a shaitan coordinates with the evil self. Naturally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created each and every individual into this world with that pure, clean nature, which is the natural disposition that the Prophet ﷺ described as fitrah. Fitrah is the divine, natural, pure disposition Allah Ta'ala created us upon. But that natural disposition gets derailed and it gets corrupted, and it strays away from the pure state into the evil state due to influence. Influence is by shaitan. A shaitan, on the other hand, is purely wicked. It did not have the natural disposition in him. In other words, there are certain people and category amongst the offspring of Adam alayhi salam who are purely wicked and purely, subhanallah, evil, no matter what you do. This is why when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam described his journey in Al-Mi'raj, and he ascended and met with many of the prophets throughout the seven heavens. And then he met Adam alayhi salam in the first one. And then one of the things that he described alayhi salatu wasalam as he met with Adam alayhi salam, he described how tall he was and how he greeted him, and Jibreel alayhi salam introduced him to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But one of the things that he described as well is the fact that Adam alayhi salam had quite the number of his offspring to his right, and every time he looks to his right, he would smile. And then there is a huge number of his offspring to his left, and every time he looks at them, he would weep. And the Prophet ﷺ asked Jibreel alayhi salam about that, and he says these are his offspring to the right are the dwellers of Al-Jannah. And that's why every time he looks at them, he is very happy and he smiles. But the ones to the left are his offspring, though these are the dwellers of hellfire. And then that's why every time he looks at him, he would weep and cry. And subhanAllah, ash-shaytan, very first description Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about in the beginning of the Quran is the test Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him through when it comes to prostrating to Adam alayhi salam alongside the angels, which is a form of honoring Adam alayhi salam. But Allah Ta'ala said that all of the angels prostrated to Adam alayhi salam. They made sujood, which is a form of greeting and honoring Adam alayhi salam, not a form of worship the way we know it, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abrogated that form of greeting and honoring, abrogated it altogether from the practices that used to be permissible with the previous nations, and made it exclusive in the practice of our worship in the deen of Islam, exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is part of the salah that we perform. Except Iblis, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, all of the angels prostrated to Adam alayhi salam except Iblis. Aba, he refused. Istakbara, and then he showed arrogance. وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ, and he was all along concealing disbelief, wickedness, evil, all along. That's his nature. And this is why, subhanallah, ash-shaytan's plan and opinion of the offspring of Adam alayhi salam is for them to be also derailed due to his wickedness, due to his evil nature, subhanallah. But subhanallah, as a shaitan uses the weak spots with each and every individually as well as a group, a shaitan always targets Um, with some people, their weakness could be their appetites, gluttony, power, money, whatever their weakness is fair game for a shaitan to encourage them to chase after it, especially when he has an ally within us, which is the evil self. The evil self always likes the immediate and short term gratification and fulfillment of self interest, be it fulfillment of desires, urges, wants, and the comfort of the life of this world. Everything that is desirable is usually the evil self commands to chase after it. But the purification of that self is actually is by taming it and by controlling it, not by letting it loose and chasing after the whims and the desires and all the appetites of the life of this world, which is exactly what a shaitan encourages. Hence, to reverse the attack of a shaitan is actually to also counter his attack on our weaknesses by also countering us attacking his weaknesses. And what is the weakness of a shaitan? Seeking refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also being always busy doing acts of goodness constantly. The consistency of being busy doing فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, every time you finish a task, whether that is related to your participation in this material sensory world with all of your obligations in this life, or the acts of worship that are a form of building your home for the akhirah. Either way, when you finish a task, you move on to another task, meaning you create that consistency of being busy, always moving from one good deed to another good deed. So you are in that consistency, leaving a shaitan no room for alluring and for derailing you and derailing. And this is, subhanallah, the same attack that a shaitan uses with individuals, he also uses with a group, with nations, with systems, anything that has a way of influence by a shaitan to do his work in derailing the offspring of Adam alayhi salam, he will go after. And of course, once a shaitan gets hold and gets a listening ear and an open heart for his convictions and for his temptations, he will not hesitate, because everything is fair game with a shaitan. However, the comprehensive view to have and the conviction to uphold always is never let loose of the evil self and listen to the commands of a shaitan and the commands and the demands of the evil self, but rather always seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also doing the work, the consistent work of obedience, of goodness on a constant basis. This is how you stay protected and stay always on point and always be mindful of the destination, which is our home for the akhirah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it al-Jannah دون سابقة أعداء, without accountability nor punishment. والحمد لله رب العالمين.